Camera action. Right, in the back of the London Ultra Cab this week we have the mighty She-Rock from the 1980s hip hop group, the She-Rockers in the back. How you doing?
All right. Oh my God, the 1980s. It sounds so long ago.
I know. Well, it was quite a time ago, wasn't it? But no, listen, it's an absolute honour to have you in the back of the cab. We're going to cover the early years, the inspirations, the music, and obviously a lot more. We're going to take it right back to the beginnings.
Cool.
So let's get down to the nitty gritty. First two questions I always ask is like, where are you from, and what was it like growing up?
Oh well, I'm from Shepherd's Bush.
West Side.
West Side, White City Estate.
Yeah.
I grew up with my parents, both Jamaican, and my sister. Then my brother came along when I was a teenager.
Right. And what was it like growing up on a White City Estate?
It was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
I bet there's a lot of community spirit.
Yeah, you know, back then, growing up in the 70s, it was just, you know, for a kid, it was kind of idyllic, really, because you got to play out, you know, all those sort of memes that go around on Facebook. You know, it was all about playing out.
Yeah.
Football, sport, skateboarding, riding bikes, you know, adventure playground.
Yeah.
You know, I had loads of friends and we'd go swimming together, and we had like youth workers at our adventure playground who looked out for us, took us on trips and stuff. And
Adventure playgrounds are brilliant. Where was your adventure playground?
it was on the estate.
Oh, on the estate.
So,
did you have
you
like the rope swing and all that?
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
You know, you go into a post and scrape your knee, get back up and get back on it. Yeah, it was just really, really fun time. A lot of the people that I grew up with, I mean, they're like family. I still go back for, you know, to see them. Like, unfortunately, it's generally funerals, but, you know, the families were very, very tight-knit.
That's right.
And, you know, if someone passes, you know, you go show your face at the funeral and stuff, and we all like reminisce about what a great time it was. You know, if my mom wasn't back home when I came home from school, I'd just go to a neighbour's, you know, and they'd just let me in, and I'd hang out with them until my mum came back. If I was sick and my mum had to go to work, she'd leave me with one of her friends. It was just, you know, that kind of community, very tight-knit, Caribbean.
There seemed to be a lot more trust back then as well.
I think, you know, it's because when like my parents came over and stuff, they all sort of really bonded, and because they were going through the same sorts of things. So, you know, the friends that they made were friends for life, and it was just a difference. You know, people weren't really settled, so they were trying to get settled, and so the friends that they made, they stayed close to. And when I was growing up, on the weekends we would go and visit people. You know, on a Sunday my dad would take us to his friends, we'd all eat dinner together and just hang out with their kids, and that's how it was.
Yeah, it's nice. Whereabouts was your parents from?
My mum was from Kingston and my dad was from Jamaica, St. Catherine's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my mum came over when she was a teenager.
So was you growing up on that kind of like reggae sound?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Reggae, but my mum was really into music as well, like, you know, most
What else was she listening to?
My mum was into like soul and, you know, Earth, Wind and Fire, Marvin Gaye. One of the first songs I remember listening to when I was a kid, I was about 3, is the Stylistics. And I used to get my dad to put the record on for me in the morning before I went to nursery. I remember that really, really clearly. My mum had like a little cassette box of tapes, and in it was like Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life, just loads of like soul and funk. She liked Gwen Guthrie, she liked Millie Jackson, just loads, all the classics,
all that kind of,
you know. And it was a big thing to go record shop.
Yeah.
You know, so my mum always went record shop, but she would always just buy records. My dad was really into records as well.
They was kind of a big influence on you on the music.
Yeah, massively. You know, we had a sound system. We had, the best sound system. We lived in a council flat, but we had like the expensive sound system. Yeah. I remember later on, I bought that Grace Jones song, Slave to the Rhythm, and I blew the speakers playing it because I was playing it so loud. Yeah.
Now, tell me about the fashion as well. Back in before hip hop.
Yeah, I mean, fashion was like a massive part of our childhood.
Was you getting down with that Fame fashion where you'd wear like, remember Fame, the TV series Fame?
Yeah, no, that wasn't really my bag.
No.
Like I was a total tomboy growing up. I was into cut off jeans, trainers, t-shirts. I mean, any opportunity I had to wear my shorts and kick a ball, I was doing it. And the first sort of, initially we were just wearing like, Marks and Spencers and Woolworth trainers. And then I think one of my friends got a pair of Adidas. I must have been about 10. Yeah, one of my friends, Peter Morrill, he got Adidas. I can't remember what they're called, but they were the brown suede ones.
Right.
And then me and my sister persuaded my mum to get us Adidas Bermuda, and they were my first pair of name brand trainers.
Serious trainers.
Yeah. And that was it, it just took off like wildfire around the estate. So, as long as you had a decent pair of trainers, that was cool. After that, I got a pair of Nike Bruin when they first came out.
Yeah.
That was like my early years of secondary school. So I was already interested in what they called streetwear now.
Street fashion.
And then it was the casual stuff, the casual phase.
So and all that.
Lois jeans. Yeah. By then my mum and dad had split up, and she had a new boyfriend, and he was into like the good beachy stuff, and he was wearing like Levi jeans and Pringles and all that stuff. And I would just basically borrow his clothes when I was in my teens. And then I remember when Lois jeans came out, they were like 20 quid. And
Lois were the ones, weren't they?
Yeah, they were either 20 or 25 quid. And we had Stewart's in Shepherd's Bush, and that was the shop that all the football guys would go to, all the casuals would go to. And I remember when they came out, I was like, my mum is never gonna pay £20 for a pair of jeans. I must have been about 14 then. But I managed to persuade her to buy these jeans for me. So I got
you loved them.
The light blue faded jeans. I got the Pringle top, the Pringle sweatshirt. I got her to buy me a Burberry Mac when I was about 14 as well, 15. I don't know how I managed to do it, but I was probably just very, very good at pestering her, which is what my daughter does to me now. I was really into fashion, and I was really into music, like early. And obviously we listened to reggae. Lovers Rock I really liked, and obviously Bob Marley played all the time, and Black Uhuru. And
was you checking out some of the the reggae sound systems over that way as well?
I was probably a bit too young for the sounds, but I actually got into soul music more as a youngster. And I also used to play street hockey when I was younger, and we played it with like an older group. They're only a couple years older, but they were the cool ones, and they were into soul and funk, and the girls wore leggings and boots and biker jackets. So they were kind of like the people that I looked up to. And that was kind of the scene that I ended up starting my clubbing with, rather than say reggae. I mean, when my friends from the estate or my school used to have parties, they would have a sound system at the party that was just standard, and they would play reggae. And one of my friends, her brothers ran a sound system called Diamonds, but I never went to dances.
Right,
really.
You was a bit too young.
Yeah, I was a bit too young. I would go to the parties, and they'd be on the estate, and my mum would say come back at 12, and I'd come back at 1. Or
when was those sound systems playing? Like in the late 70s?
No, in the 80s.
Oh, 80s.
That's like the early 80s then.
Right.
When I was a teenager. Yeah, in the early 80s.
Yeah. So what kind of kicked it off for you on the on the hip hop thing?
With the hip hop, I just started hearing a couple of tracks. I remember I heard this track. I can't remember if it was the first one I heard, but I remember distinctly I went to a party on this estate in West London at the Emlyn Emlyn Estate, I think it was called, and I heard E.T. Boogie, and I'd
Right.
heard this track a couple times, and I really liked it. And then most of my
When
friends,
was that, around 82? Because E.T.
About-
Boogie was about 82.
yeah, or I may have heard it, yeah,
Slightly.
around 82, 83. But
Yeah.
it was a part, you know, it was a typical sort of party where they're playing reggae and they're playing a bit of soul, and then they would just drop one
E.T.
like hip hop
Boogie.
tune. And two of my closest friends at that time were these boys, Michael and Peter. I mean, at that time it was very I don't know whether it's because of my interest, but most of my friends were boys anyway at that point. And I think Michael made me a tape of electro, and I just started listening to it. So I was very aware of it from about 14, 15, and I was like really into it. And
So you was kind of getting into that electro sound,
Yeah.
rather than more the rap stuff.
I didn't really hear it at that time, but I heard electro first, and I loved
Yeah.
it. You know, like Planet Rock, Play at Your Own Beat, and then Shannon came along,
Yeah.
and you know, and then it sort of progressed from there. Then you started, you know, the tunes started hitting the charts, like Melly Mel, and it was from there really. I think just listening on the radio, and I went to school in Shepherd's Bush as well. And literally someone told me that there was a girl that was into the hip hop music that I was into, and it was Betty Boo.
Oh, right.
We went to the same school.
Oh, did you? Was you
Yeah.
in the same year?
No, she was a year below me,
Right.
and that's how we met really. And we just started hanging out because we liked the music. That was it.
When did you first meet Alison?
86? No, maybe about 85 I met her. Yeah. And we just started getting into the music. We just really liked it. We weren't on a scene or anything. It was just us in each other's bedrooms, listening to the music. But we started going clubbing together. But at that point, we were really into the soul, the warehouse scene. And, you know, we used to dress trendy, wear like the puffball skirts and the tights and the loafers, and customize our jackets and do all that stuff.
Well, did you go down that kind of was you doing breaking or popping or graph?
We did a bit of graph,
Did you?
but Alison was really good at it.
Was she?
Betty Boo, yeah,
Did you have
she
a
was
nice
really
tag?
into the graph. I would just go tagging, you know.
She was more on the art side.
Yeah, but she would actually draw and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she would go out with people like Drax and you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would actually go out with them, and her brother was into it as well.
That's right. Yeah.
But initially, when we sort of bonded, we were just raving together, and we were going to all the warehouse raves and, you know, all the popular clubs at the time. There was this place called Ambassadors, and I can't remember if that's where we met Rodney P, but he used to go there as well. And quite a few of the people that were on the hip hop scene used to go there. But at that point, we weren't B girls. And then I think like the warehouse scene got kind of really saturated, and everybody just was looking like clones, and we just kind of got fed up of it, and we were just like, oh, we're just going to be B girls now. Like literally one week we went to this club, Ambassadors, and we were wearing Dr. Martens, Levi jeans and black polo necks, and the next week we were just wearing whatever sportswear we had at home. I think I wore Adidas hoodie, some jeans and some trainers, and everyone was just like, what's going on here? You know, we looked like, I think that, you know, back then people used to say you're a renter, you know, if you just adopted a fashion, and we just looked like renters. And that was it really. We just started getting into the hip hop thing, and then people were starting to tell us like, oh, there's this jam here, you should go to it, you should go here, and that was it really. It was kind of like a word of mouth thing. I didn't know that a scene existed really until, you know, I started going clubbing.
So what was that? It was sort of 85, 86?
Yeah,
Right.
around that time.
And what was you both kind of like MC? I mean, how did you get into like the MCing?
We were just writing the raps in our bedroom, because obviously we were listening to Mike Allen, and we were hearing, you know, people on the radio, and we were hearing like Roxanne, and we were hearing Salt and Pepper, and you know, we were hearing that there were female MCs.
So was they a big influence on you?
Yeah, definitely. It Salt and Pepper came to the UK and they did a show at Astoria and we went to it. And me and Alison, we went backstage. We managed to go. We would always try and find our way backstage, whatever show we went to, and we did. We made it backstage, and we met them, and we talked to. But we saw them perform, and it was like, yeah, we can do it. You know, they're doing it. We could do this too, and that was it. And we decided we were going to start rapping just from there.
And what was influencing you with your lyrics? Was it like everyday life?
I think, you know, initially there's like a, you know, you're copying, aren't you? Because you're trying to find your feet. And
was you copying that American style accent?
Yeah, I mean, we did, absolutely, you know, initially, because, you know, we were quite young and we hadn't really found our feet in terms of how we were going to present ourselves. We were just trying to emulate what we already saw. And yeah, so we just started writing raps in our bedroom, really. And later on, when I was writing with Antonia, we would incorporate more British slang into our tracks and really address more British issues. Well, when I say British, but you know, the stuff that's happening here. But yeah, initially, you know, we were quite American sounding. And
who would you say was kicked off that kind of sort of London sort of, you know, MC style? Was it Rodney P or Daddy Freddie or any of them?
Well, all of them really, innit?
Yeah, all big.
But I think London Posse and Demon Boys did it most successfully, you know, because it just absolutely sounded natural. And, you know, I loved it. But for me, personally, I never really felt comfortable rapping in patois because it was kind of in my upbringing. My dad was always dead against me speaking patois. So it for me is a language to even talking is not the most comfortable. When I'm with my friends, like my girlfriends and, you know, who are all like same background as me, or my family, then yeah, I will slip in and out of it like really easily. But just if I'm around just regular people, I'm just not generally going to speak like that.
Yeah. Was you going to Covent Garden back in the day?
Yeah, we used to go there. Yeah, we went there.
When was you hitting Covent Garden? Like 85, 86?
About 17. So that would, yeah, about 86. I think most things hip hop related for me happened around 86.
And who was you knocking around with in Covent Garden?
I mean, I don't know if we're knocking around with anyone in particular, but you know, just
whoever. Like everybody knew each other.
Everybody. Yeah. Colt,
Drax.
Yeah, Colt, Drax.
Frags.
Who?
Fraggle.
Yeah. I can't. You know, my memory is so bad. But you know, you see Pogo down there. I mean, you'd literally spend all down there, and you just talk to everybody really. But I wouldn't say I was down there all the time. Antonia, who's MC Aura, she was more into the Covent scene. But I think even by the time we started going there, you know, people were really quite well bonded. See people like Business down there. Business was always really cool with us.
So how did the She Rockers form?
I mean, it was just me and Alison deciding, yeah, we were going to rap and like, oh, what's going to be our group name? And I think I'd already come up with like She Rock. And
so that was your MC name?
That was my MC name. And because we couldn't think of a name for the group, I said, well, why don't we just call ourselves the She Rockers until we think of a name? And obviously we never ever thought of a name.
And it stuck?
Yeah, that was it.
What made you come up with She Rock?
You know, there was Tila Rock, wasn't there? There was Shah Rock and...
Yeah.
And it, you know, it was female rocking the mic type thing. Yeah.
She gonna rockers.
And the other thing was She-Ra, because I've always had like a curvy figure, and I don't know if somebody used to call me that, but
that
was kind of like the link that I made as well.
They kind of come into it as well.
Yeah.
And how did the others get their names as well? Any idea? Like Betty Boo and...
Well, I think Alison got her name just sort of naturally because,
like
she
Betty Boo.
just had that sort of look, didn't she? And she had the short haircut as well with the curls.
Yeah.
Antonia, she just came up with her name, Aura, and there was Dupe, who was Sweet Pea, and that was her name. She sort of came along later when me and Alison had one of our regular falling outs, and Alison had paired up with her, and then I was with Antonia, because we were a bit like Destiny's Child back in the day, you know. There was 2, then there was 3, then there was 4, then there was 2, and it was a bit mad.
Yeah. What did you have any like fierce battles back then? Was you like battle MCs or?
I think we did most of our battling on the records. On stage is like a battle record.
The first single was "Give It a Rest."
Yeah.
On Music Alive.
Yeah.
And Professor Griff from the S1Ws, part of obviously Public Enemy, he produced that track. About.
Well,
did you meet at the Public Enemy? What was it? The Hammersmith.
Well, we didn't meet at the concert. What happened was my friend Peter gave me the Public Enemy tape, and as soon as I heard it, I was like, "Oh my god, I really want to meet this group." Like I'd never really had that feeling before, but when I first listened to it, I was like, wow, like it actually hurt my head because it was so different to anything that I'd heard before. And I was like, oh, I've really got to meet this group. And then we heard that they were doing the show. I can't remember how much longer after it was, but I think in between that, Houdini came over.
That's right. They done the Raising Hell tour.
Yeah.
86.
Yeah. They came over, and you know there used to be that night, Delirium.
Yeah,
at Astoria. That was a wicked night. Well, they used to, I don't know if they had, it was just like the main, everything was in the main part, you know, and I think Beastie Boys performed there. Yeah. I think I read it the other day. Someone said he did this stage dive and everyone all the B-boys just sort of backed away and he hit the floor. Yeah, I was there that night.
Yeah.
And Houdini were at this Astoria. And I think, one of them was talking to me and was like, oh yeah, you should come to the studio, you know, and hang out. And I was like, oh, okay then. And I thought, okay, I'll go. Because, you know, at that point, I was like, yeah, I'm rapping, I want to meet people, blah, blah, blah. So I went to the studio with my friend, Peter, and I think my other friend, Darren. But, yeah, I never went alone because I wasn't stupid. And I met Russell Simmons, and then I was just talking to him all night, basically saying, all right, so you've got this group Public Enemy, you know, I really like their album, blah blah blah. And he said, yeah, they're coming over, etc, etc. So anyway, they came over, we got tickets. I think we got the tickets from like our youth club, and we paid £5 for it, and we went to the show. It was amazing, but the show was at Hammersmith Apollo. Oh my god, that was a dark night.
Can you remember when it kicked off on the underground and people were getting draped?
It was they've got these subways leading up to the actual venue. Yeah,
it's proper mug
anyone that didn't look hip hop, I'll just say, they got their tickets stolen. And yeah, it was just mad.
And on the tubes as well, it was like it was like a scene from The Warriors.
Because there's a lot of kids coming in from out of town, weren't there?
Yeah. It was like a scene from The Warriors, wasn't it? Like bopping your way back.
It was not a pretty scene.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously for me it was fine because those were my ends. So, but yeah, I just remember it was like running the gauntlet for some people. So there's a hotel in Holland Park called it was the Hilton. And we just kind of knew that they'd be staying there, so we thought we'll wander down there at the end. It was me, Alison, my friend Peter, another friend Michael, you know, all the boys that I hang out with. We were all together. We went down there, we went to the hotel. They weren't there. Someone said, oh, no, they said they weren't there. And then we said, let's go to the McDonald's. And when we went to the McDonald's, we bumped into the S1Ws, and that's how we met Griff. And he said, oh, you know, we were like, oh, we rap. We just went to the concert. It was really good, and we rap. And he goes, well, rap then. And then they videoed us, and I only saw that video a couple of years ago.
Did you?
Yeah, for the first time, and it's really as embarrassing as it sounds.
Who uploaded that? Was it Westwood?
It was Westwood. Yeah, he uploaded it. Don't know how he got that.
Because I remember you was outside the shop and you was like MCing, weren't you? And
yeah, we were inside the shop and we started rapping, and then the McDonald's manager came along and like tried to usher us out. And then we went outside and we were walking. I think we saw LL, and we ended up walking back to the hotel with them. And I met Rakim that night, which was mad. He just kind of looked at me like, "Who are you?" But I was just like, "Wow, Rakim." And yeah, Griff was like, oh yeah, I'm really interested, you know, I'd like to work with you girls, blah blah blah. A woman in her house in South Kensington, and I was in the basement answering the phones and doing whatever she wanted to. I think I was 18 then, and but in the afternoons I'd be calling Griff in New York to like talk about business and what's going to happen and this, that and the other, and I think I ran up her phone bill.
It weren't cheap then, was it?
Yeah, and then we ended up going out to Long Island where he lived. Stayed there for a little bit. We did some shows in New York, and then he came over and he produced we got a deal with Musical Life, didn't we?
That's right.
Well, I think we just did a singles deal with them.
Because the rest was through Jive, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then we produced the Give It a Rest track.
Yeah.
With Simon Harris. He kicked us out of the studio because we were just too opinionated. I.e., we didn't want it to sound like a Public Enemy record, which obviously it did sound a bit like a Public Enemy record, but Streets Ahead, he did all the scratching on that, and it was amazing. You know, he was so good. But yeah, Griff helped to produce that. I think Alison wrote the lyrics for Give It a Rest. That was one that she already had.
My most favourite She Rockers tune is On Stage.
Yeah, that was Shem's baby.
Because Streets Ahead loved that Better Than Wheels Break.
Yeah.
He absolutely loved that. And when we used to see Streets Ahead DJing around 84 and 85 in the clubs, he was always cutting up that Hot Wheels back.
Yeah, that was his baby. That was all him. You know, we just added the lyrics. He always wanted to do that, and you know, he definitely played a big part in, you know, us getting the group off the ground, because he had the connection with Westwood, and Westwood put us on the bill at Scrubs.
How did you meet Streets Ahead?
Through Alison, whose brother knew him, and he literally lived 2 streets away from Alison, and we just used to hang out with him all the time and work on lyrics and tunes. We did our rehearsing at his house. You know, his mum Dee was really nice, and you know, she never ever complained. He had the decks in his room, and
he was a wicked DJ.
Yeah, but just through her brother Alison, that's how we met him. Yeah.
We've got to do an RIP to Streets Ahead. Yeah,
definitely. You know, even just thinking about him makes me feel like sad. He definitely played a big part in us getting things off the ground, and you know, bringing the Hot Wheels break to us is just amazing. And you know, even when I listen to it now, I do feel like really proud of that, because I just think it just worked. It was just, you know, the way we sounded on it, and his scratching on it was just incredible.
He was so quick.
Yeah,
and cutting 2 copies of a breakup. I mean, he was brilliant. Can you Donna, can you tell me about the kind of the hip hop fashion as well? What was you kind of rocking back then?
Well, obviously we just sort of initially, you know, you're copying what the Americans wore, and but everyone sort of had contacts who could get them stuff from the States. I had the purple Patrick Ewings. I really liked purple back then. I had a purple goose.
You had a purple goose?
Yeah, I had a purple goose that someone's mum had got me in the States.
Right.
And, you know, I paid a few £100 for it. I think we all had like part-time jobs then. So, you know, whatever we could get, we would just pay the money for it. Yeah, I was really into Adidas trainers, the Centuries. Alison, Betty, she would always go off with some of the boys like Scam and the West London guys to go look for dead stock. So they would always find like really good dead stock Adidas Centuries. I think I had about 3 pairs of those. What else? Yeah, Kangols. Then we would sort of mash it with the London streetwear. So you'd be wearing like the European brands like Benetton and Naf Naf, C17.
Chevignon and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have Chevignon, but I had like, you know, the C17 jeans I really liked.
Chippy.
Yeah, that was like really big then.
In the pin roll with the Burlington socks.
Not me. The guys, but not me.
Nah.
Yeah, that was, I mean, that was a big thing. And when we started going to, I went to America for the first time when I was 18. And I think I came back with like 5 pairs of trainers. But yeah, after we started going to America, I would just buy whatever I could out there. I really liked Carhartt. There was a shop in Manhattan where you could go and get Carhartt stuff. I mean, you'd be paying like $20, you know, for the carpenter trousers, and everything was just so cheap in comparison to over here, you know.
Have you got any of them garms left?
Nope. And my daughter...
What happened to the purple goose?
Antonia really liked it, and I think I just worn it out, and then I gave it to her, and I haven't seen it since. We bought loads of Naf Naf stuff, which we wore for like our promo shoots, and we wore on tour and stuff. I still got my Naf Naf jacket, but I bought like baseball tops, you know, the original starter baseball tops, African American Alliance hoodies I bought. And my daughter's really into 90s fashion, and a lot of the stuff that she was wearing over the last sort of 10 years or so is stuff that I had, but I just got rid of it all.
Yeah. Sort of like moved on.
Yeah,
It's funny because some of that stuff...
You're talking like, we're going back like 30, 35 years now, you know.
Mad. But the maddest thing is that fashion back then is kind of come full circle.
It's so normalised now.
Because Adidas rivalry, they're back out again.
Yeah,
People are rocking them now.
Yeah, the big high tops and that. Yeah, everyone's really into it. I know, it's crazy. When you're younger, you don't think that fashion's going to come back. I don't know why, because you're young and you're just consuming it in the moment. But literally, I've seen so many things come back. Now, I never really got into Jordans too much when I was younger, because I was more into Adidas. But now I'm wearing Jordans, but everyone really loves the Jordans, you know, the retro ones.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad the way things go full circle.
But wherever we went, like if we went to Italy, if we went to France, you know, you'd buy trainers. I loved them. I had loads. My mum used to say to me, "Are you sure Dana, you sure you got enough trainers?" And I'd be like, "Are you buying them though? Like, are you paying for them?" Because, you know, from when I had my first job, I think I might have been 15. Like, I bought all my own stuff, you know, because you're coming from a background where people didn't really have like loads of money. As soon as you got your own money, you just pay for your own stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, I was traveling from when I was 18, and then we were going on tour and stuff, and we was getting money from the record company, we were getting money from shows.
I mean, you both look great. You and the rest of the crew look great. I mean, I used to work with Betty Boo. Used to work. I think it was 1986 or early '87. She used to work in Dorothy Perkins.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Near Bond Street Station.
Yeah.
And I worked for a shoe company called Peter Lord, which was upstairs. So we worked in the same building.
Oh really?
Yeah, and I used to talk to her now and again and say hello and all that. But she used to come in wearing like the black Kangol.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you used to put it up at the edge? Yeah. And like make it with the little round on top.
Yeah.
And the black flight jacket.
I think I got a picture of her like that. I'll tell you a funny story. about Alison. She had a really nice red leather goose. When I got my purple one, she got a red leather one, and it had a black fake fur collar. And she worked in M&S then. So this, I think that was after she worked at Dorothy Perkins.
Yeah.
And she wore the jacket to M&S and just hung it up. Went to work. When she came back, it was gone.
Someone nicked it.
She'd had it for days.
Just days.
We did take the piss out of her for it. For a long time.
You don't hang something like that up, do you?
She never lived it down. When she worked at Dorothy Perkins, we used to go there and nick Levi jeans. Sorry. Sorry, Mum. But they used to have I think it was Burton upstairs. It was very, very lax in those days. And we would just go upstairs and take the Levi's jeans. And like they wouldn't make their way back to the shelf.
Everyone was at it back then.
Yeah, it was a bit of a naughty time, I have to say.
Yeah. Who else was you touring with back then?
We toured with De La Soul and KRS-One.
Oh, did you?
And that was a really good tour. Yeah, that was a really, really good tour. He was really, really good to talk to as well. But we went outside London. We did lots of venues outside London. We were like Liverpool. We went to Europe with De La Soul.
How was that?
It was really, really good. But what happened was we went out with them one night. I think we were in Belgium. And they were like, oh, have you ever had Long Island iced tea? Like, no. So we were drinking these Long Island iced teas and we all got really, really hammered. The next morning we missed the call time to leave the hotel to drive to Amsterdam. So they'd gone without us. So we had to get a map. You know, there was a small crew of us. I think my boyfriend at the time, he was driving. We had to get a map and work out how to get ourselves to Amsterdam. But we did it though, and we made it in time for the show.
Just.
Yeah. But yeah, we got to do some really, really good tours. We had a show at Brixton Academy as well, but we won't talk about that. Moni Love performed, Queen Latifah. It was a sold out show. It was brilliant. But just getting that experience, you just see how when you start outside London and then you move in, you just get more and more confident. Because initially I wasn't really super confident about being on stage. I mean, we did like gigs in the WAG Club, Hippodrome, Astoria, we did gigs. So, we did quite a few shows. But then, yeah, we were lucky enough to get to do those tours as well. And we toured with Public Enemy as well. We did some shows with them too.
That must have been a big highlight.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just crazy really, because I really, really liked the music, and because it was that kind of scene where everybody was doing something. Either people were dancing, or they were doing the graph, or they were DJing. You could find your place in it, and I did really, really love it. And I just thought, yeah, I just want to do something. And so we just started rapping. I never really thought that we'd be successful, and we did kind of get noticed straight away. And people put that down to they're females, and they want to sign female artists, but we weren't rubbish. At the end of the day, we were actually good at what we did. And it just kind of went from there. And I was really into the music side of things, and I kind of wish I'd sort of pushed on to do more production, because I was very involved in being in the studio and coming up with ideas, and I would write like in the studio, like really, I never really had to labour over my lyrics and stuff like that. And we went to New York to record with Todd Terry. At this point we were with Jive. And they were always trying to shove us, to do dance music. They wanted us to do stuff like the Cookie Cruise, Rock the House, was it called? The hip house stuff. They wanted us to do stuff like that, and they wanted us to do stuff like Betty Boo. And we tried to resist it, but it's quite difficult. They just kept pushing these producers on us. But I always really liked Todd Terry. I always liked his music, and he did the Jungle Brothers, Our House Hue. You know, they did that mix. Anyway, we went to New York to work with him, and I remember we go in the studio the first day, and he doesn't even talk to us. He's just like, who are these, like, London girls, like, and he's just really, really quiet and stuff. And anyway, he starts putting some beats together, and we start rapping, and he's like, okay.
Not bad.
And then he sort of tells us that he actually started as a hip hop DJ, and he made beats and stuff, and yeah, we just started to bond really, and got a really good rapport going, and we were just working on tracks together, and we actually had a really, really good time. He had a Porsche, so I think one night we finished in the studio, and he dropped us off at, I think it was a surprise party for, it's either Chuck D or LL. It was one of those two. And he drove us to this party, and he was playing this EPMD track.
What, his Porsche?
Yeah.
Wow. Who was you with?
I was with Antonia then.
Right.
Yeah, so it was just me and her. And he was playing that EPMD
That must have been
track.
a right buzz.
Huh?
That must have been a right
Yeah,
buzz.
it was just amazing. It was like,
Yeah.
I mean, I was, 20 by then? And it was just crazy. And he's dropping us off at this party in Manhattan, and, all the hip-hop people are there, and it's crazy.
Imagine if you had mobile phone now with a camera.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, we just lived it, So, literally, just from loving this music and thinking, okay, I want to make a tune of my own, you end up doing something like that. I mean, I spent most of my teens and early 20s just touring and making music, and
You absolutely loved it.
yeah, it was great. It was absolutely great.
Was there a selection of tunes back then? Doesn't have to be hip hop. Can be like any kind of music that kind of blew you away. You was like, wow.
I mean, a lot of it blew me away. I mean, I really liked Mantronics. I really liked
Mantronics is wicked, wasn't it?
Schoolie D.
Yeah.
Just Ice. The KRS One album. LL's
EPMD. There's too much, isn't it?
everything. I think even the music before, like, Public Enemy was really, really good. The hip hop back then, like Strong Island.
Yeah. Well, and some of the electro stuff.
Yeah, I think there's just so much good music. I would really love to go to a jam that properly plays all the old tunes, and some then the 86 tunes onwards, but just the ones that we used to listen to when we went to Astoria, when we went to Delirium, when we went to WAG Mud Club on a Friday.
Yeah.
Obviously there was Spats as well. I didn't go to Spats that much, but there was just so many good raves. We used to go to Opera House.
Yeah, do you remember the Opera?
Yeah, Opera House was brilliant. I mean, we were blessed.
Westworld parties?
Sorry?
Did you go to Westworld parties?
Yeah.
Raw?
Yeah. Raw, yeah.
Limelights? Yeah.
Yeah, everything. I mean, Limelight, we would call up the Limelight and say, oh, we're from the BBC, can you put us on the guest list? We do it every week, literally. Yeah.
That's so funny.
I used to hang out with Richard Reyes. I don't know if you remember him. He's a photographer. He took some early photos of us, but he was a part of the scene. He was a big part of the scene then, and Drax, and there were other people that weren't making music, but they were definitely.
Did you hang around Leicester Square as well?
Yeah.
Outside the Empire?
Yeah.
Because that's where I kind of looked about Drax and Skip and all them.
Yeah.
Outside the Empire.
Yeah. I got arrested out. Do you remember there was a tube party?
Yeah, that's right.
So I went on that
the
tube.
embankment, didn't it?
Huh?
Started off on the embankment on the Circle Line.
On the Circle Line. Yeah, that was mad.
That was crazy, wasn't it?
There's a picture of it. There was a guy, I can't remember his name. This is a popular refrain now, but he ran a graffiti magazine, Graffitism.
Right.
And yeah, he used a picture on the cover of us at this tube party, and I think I got a bit drunk on the tube, and for some reason I thought it'd be a good idea to steal some sweets from the kiosk on Leicester Square, and I got nicked. So then I think everyone was going to Delirium or some rave. So while I sat in the cells for a couple of hours, they all went and raved, and then they came and got me, and I didn't get charged.
Oh, you missed it.
Yeah, but I was very sober by the time they came to get me.
That's what you do when you're young, isn't it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was very high-spirited.
And Donna, what would you say would be your kind of biggest highlights?
Biggest highlight.
Would it be your first record?
I mean, there's just too many, you know.
Yeah.
I can't really pick one out. I guess, you know, like doing a video and getting to invite like my friends down to the video shoot. When we did the video for Jam It Jam, that was really, really good. Because we just got all our friends to come to the studio and they filmed it. And we filmed it on my estate, and my little brother was in the video. Doing a gig with Public Enemy was amazing. KRS-One, De La Soul. I tell you, one of my other highlights is the Brother record that we did, because that was Beyond the 16th Parallel, and that was our anti-apartheid record. And obviously, you know, despite there being rivalries or whatever, all of us came together. Cookie Crew, Demon Boys, London Posse, I think Cash Crew, just like loads of artists, and we did this record, and Bernie Grant was there, and it's a really good track.
Where did you film that?
I think it was we recorded it somewhere in North London. We literally did it in they must have done it in a couple of days. I mean, I know we just came there, but there was loads of people there when we did our bit.
How was that organised? Did someone go to you and say, right, I want you to write that part for this track?
I think it was that this guy Sheldon. He was the one that got everyone together, and yeah, they just said, you know, we want you to contribute to the track. Supreme did it, Hijack did it. I think it was them as well. They were sort of the drivers behind it.
Go now, isn't it?
Yeah. But that was a good thing, because, you know, people came together, and at that point, you know, there were some intense rivalries on the hip hop scene.
Yeah.
So to see everyone in the same room, like not trying to kill each other, was quite good.
Yeah. So it sort of brought people together.
Yeah, definitely.
And,
but it was an amazing time, no doubt.
So, and what are you up to nowadays?
Well, you know, I always wanted to do journalism, even before I wanted to rap. But when I was 18, I told my dad, like, I told my mum, I'm not going to go to university. I want to do this hip hop thing. And she wasn't too happy, but she spoke to my dad, and my dad was like, just let her do it, you know, she'll go back eventually. And that's what I did. I had my daughter in 94, and in later that year, I went to college. I studied for a year for like a foundation in media, and then next year I was at University of Westminster. Studied there for 3 years, and then after that I started working in the media, and I've been a journalist, showbiz editor for like 15 years now.
Yeah, it's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long time. But my hip hop days, they're on my CV, firmly on there. Yeah.
Well, there's no two ways about that.
it's a part of my life, and it's always a good talking point. And like when my team usually end up finding out about it, oh, I hear you used to rap, and then they find the videos on YouTube and start sending it around each other.
Well, I'm sure they're going to be sending this video around the office.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Is there, Donna, is there anyone you want to give a kind of like a little shout out to? I know shout-outs are difficult in case you miss anyone out, but...
Just everyone really who just made that experience. I mean, you know, it was good and bad, but there was definitely a lot of good come from it. I mean, I met people like Sipo, rest in peace.
Yeah.
There was the dance crew that Basil and Darnell were part of, and Mark Manera. They were like some of the people that I met early on. Obviously, Rodney P was always like really welcoming. Business. Moni and I became, you know, really close. Blade.
Are you still in touch with Moni now?
No, you know, sometimes we talk over social media, but not really. But yeah, we became quite close. Blade, yeah, he was really close with us as well. Colt, you know, definitely someone who was always in our corner. Power Lords, like my boys to this day. And Hudson, those guys. Just, I mean, obviously I've just left, I know I've left people out, but...
And obviously the fans as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, anybody who ever bought my record, like, respect, thank you. Yeah. I'm grateful because I never really expected, you know, you just don't. I just wanted to make a record. That's all it was. I just had that thought, and it, you know, it took me great places for years. It took me great places, and I just had, you know, I give a shout out to hip hop, really, because I always say, like, if you have grown up in hip hop, you can survive anything. Like, even as a journalist, I've had to work in places where people can be quite hostile, you know, quite sexist environments, obviously not necessarily very diverse. And I've come through hip hop, like, really and truly, nothing is ever gonna faze me after that, after growing up in that. And I definitely credit a lot of my progress in life to the fact that I had that schooling, because that's real life, you know. It was so creative and so sort of grounding and just realness, you know, all the time. You know, you had to fight for your spot. You had to fight for your spot. You had to fight to be noticed. You had to really show who you are. You had to show you were talented. We had to go up against guys. We had to go up against girls. We had to go up against Americans. You know, we were always fighting. So you come through that. You've graduated, mate. You know, you've got the degree in life. And,
well, that's a lot of good advice to give sort of up and coming MCs as well. Yeah,
I mean, you just got it's all about proving yourself. And I think definitely when we came up, it was about, you know, your lyrics, your flow. Do you sound good? You know, not how much you've got. It's like, you know, do you sound good? And definitely with girls, I think there was even more pressure.
Oh, big time. All right, so well, listen, that's great advice.
Okay.
And Donna, listen, what can I say? It's been absolutely brilliant having you in the cab.
You're welcome. I'm sorry my memory's not better.
No, your memory,
you should have maybe come to me 10 years ago.
Your memory's been brilliant. But yeah, I really want to honour you being in the back of my cab. I know we've been saying we're going to do this for ages. And we finally get round to doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, you twisted my arm. Be fair.
You know, it's all, you got to twist people's arms sometimes. It's important that we got your history, because you was a big part of the UK London hip hop scene.
I mean, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but we were definitely a part of it, and you know, grateful to be a part of it, because you know, even though I can't remember specifics and details, I just know we just had such a great time, you know.
Yeah.
We loved the music, the dancing was amazing, just the camaraderie, you know. If you met somebody then and they were into hip hop, like, they were your friend, end of story. And we would trek, you know, we would go from West London to East London for a hip hop rave or an all dayer. I mean, we just were so passionate about the music and the culture and the style, and it educated us. really did.
Well, listen, Donna, absolute honour having you in the cab. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did.
It's quite unusual, isn't it, being interviewed in the back of a black cab?
Yeah, I'm not going to make a habit of it, I have to say.
And then, listen, anyone watching this, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Check out the other interviews with like Public Enemy, Skinny Man, Blade, Rodney P, Shady. I mean, I've interviewed over like 40 people. So, yeah, but listen, it's a real honour to have you in the back of the cab. And we're going to get you back.
Thanks for asking me. You're going to get me back?
Huh?
You're going to get me back?
Of course I'm going to get you back.
But thanks for asking me.
No
problem.
absolutely brilliant.
No problem.
It's an honour to have you in the cab.